From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MBW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neil McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome into this Friday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. I'm Chase Parham, flying solo this morning. It's an early start after a late night, sometime around midnight, a minute or two either direction. Thomas Dillard last night with a two-run single in the 11th inning as Ole Miss knocks off Texas A&amp in the series opener between those two teams. It got pushed back to an 8 o'clock start because of rain. It finished around midnight in 11 innings. Really one Ole Miss had to have. We'll get into that here in a minute. Also on today's show on the Patterson and Earhart hotline, we're going to talk with Macy Somoskey. And I guess not necessarily a hotline because it was in person. I went by the Ole Miss Golf House a couple days ago on Wednesday, talked to the freshman who made the big putt everybody's seen on 18, who helped Ole Miss to the SEC championship in Birmingham last weekend. So I sat down with Macy for a little bit. You'll get that interview today as well. As mentioned in there, they were going to find out about regionals in a couple hours. Ole Miss is, as I mentioned yesterday on the podcast too, they are in Norman, Oklahoma next weekend for their next week for their regional. They have to finish one of the top 6 teams in that event. I think there's 18 teams in the regional to advance to nationals for the second year in a row. So you'll hear Macy at one point mention how they find out where they're headed here in a couple hours at that point of recording, but it is Norman, Oklahoma for that. NFL draft last night. No Rebels taken in that one in the first round at least. DK Metcalf in attendance. Did not go in the first round. He'll definitely go in the second round today when it gets back going. So that kind of the main topics we get into a little bit of today's show that it's been pieced together. We're going to get you one. Going to get you a show today here on the Oxford Exxon Podcast. It's brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford, the Blue Sky. You can go in, you can get ribs at night, maybe tonight. If you're not going to the game, you want to watch the game on your computer, on your television, stop by, get those ribs from Oxford Exxon. Call ahead. They'll wrap them up, have them ready to go for you. Lunch special today, $4.99, 2 sides bread, 32-ounce drink for that. Take advantage of the Speed Pass Plus app, the mobile rewards program, and much more there with Blue Sky. And I'm in the Clark Ford Studio, 662-257-1900. There in Amory, Mississippi, Highway 25 South. Give Corey a call because he wants to be your truck guy. He wants to be your car guy. He will take care of you. So even if you're just thinking about a new vehicle you don't necessarily want to afford, call him anyway. Call Corey. Let him give you a quote within 15 minutes during business hours. Maybe you end up taking the deal because it's just a great deal. If you do that, you mentioned the podcast toward the end, an extra $500 off with Clark Ford there in Amory. So we'll get to Macy here in a little bit, but last night, Ole Miss winning 5-4 in 11 innings against the Aggies, and I leaned over to there toward the end of the game. Richard Cross, Brian Rippey, and I were the only media in attendance last night, at least on press row, and I leaned over and I said, it's kind of one they have to have. And obviously that's a duh statement because it's another home series. They had lost, I guess at the time, 4 of their last 5 SEC games. They had tumbled a bit. They lost 5 of their last 6 overall when you throw in the Governor's Cup on Tuesday against Mississippi State. But he kind of went beyond that. They were facing another left-handed ace last night. They've really struggled against left-handers. They came into the night 4-9 against left-handed starters this season after really torching right-handers when they get that opportunity. And they were down 3-0 against the 7-inning stretch last night. They come back and really take advantage of a couple Texas A&M errors. Neither team played particularly well defensively. Both made tons of mistakes, tried to give the game away at different points. And they fought back. They got back to 3-3. They get it into extras. Parker Caracci throws 3 innings last night. He's at 52 pitches. So Mike Bianco told me after the game that he definitely would be okay on Saturday. Mike could even give him an inning today. But that's a lot of stress on a reliever. That's a high pitch count for a closer. So if you lose that game and he's kind of burned up, you've got into the bullpen. Tyler Myers got hot at one point last night. Austin Miller was getting hot there at the end of the game. He was going to come in had there been a 12th. Everything just kind of looked like, hey, this is the one Ole Miss has to get, given this situation if they're going to win this series or do even more damage in this series other than just win it. They're facing Lacey today, who's potentially a worse matchup. He's also a left-hander than Dosaxic last night was. So it just felt like this is one Ole Miss had to have last night. They get down 4-3 in the 11th inning. There was a leadoff walk Gracie gave up. Cole Zabowski kind of bobbled a ground ball that could have been a double play. Instead, it allowed the runner to move to second. He moved to third on another ground out and then scored a wild pitch that Cooper Johnson made a pretty good play off the wall. The ball ricocheted really hard off the backstop. Gracie didn't have time to get to the plate, and at first blush, it looked like Cooper had gotten him, but the runner did an excellent job of getting his hand kind of flat and hitting a corner of the plate, hitting the edge of the plate, and he was safe. So they took a 4-3 lead there in the top of the 11th, and then the bottom half, Rhino Lennox and Gray Kessinger had back-to-back singles. Kessinger had a couple hits on the day. He's now reached base in 31 straight games. And they walk Tyler Keenan. They get to a full count on Thomas Dillard and a full count pitch. He was hitting right-handed. He only came into the game only hitting 208 from that right-hand side. He laced the ball. It hit the mound, actually, bounded into center field. The 2 runs scored easily, and the Rebels walked it off. They mobbed Dillard just beyond first base. Like I said, he was somewhere between 11:58 and 12:02 when that one ended last night. So it gives Ole Miss a great opportunity moving into the rest of the weekend. Today at 6:30, tomorrow at 2. But it felt incredibly important for whatever reason last night. I thought that, you don't know which games are swing games. It's impossible to know that until you know kind of what else is moving ahead in the season, but it felt that critical for Ole Miss last night. Rhino Lennox 2 hits, Gray Kessinger 2 hits, Dillard had those 2 hits. Dillard came into that at bat there at the end, 3 for 23 in a little bit of a stretch. He had not played particularly well offensively, and he came up huge. He gets the walk-off last night, had probably swung at ball 4 on the pitch right before that, gets to a full count, and then made it work. But, like I said, Ole Miss did not necessarily play well. They had 2 errors. Texas A&M had 3 errors. 2 of Ole Miss's first 3 runs came courtesy of defensive miscues by Texas A&M, but they just kind of kept coming. They outlasted them. I thought from a mental standpoint, huge deal last night if you're Ole Miss, because you're facing one of the top left-handers in the league. You're down 3-0 in the 7th inning. It could have been that perfect moment to roll over a little bit and kind of not fight back. Everything statistically that you haven't done well has kind of gotten to you at this point in the game, and they did. They just kind of kept coming. I thought it was a really, really big deal. They're now actually a game and a half out of first place in the SEC West, given what they do tonight, given what Arkansas does tonight as well. Arkansas at 12-6 in the league. They've gotten pretty hot after sweeping Mississippi State last weekend. The only other game last night in SEC play was Auburn and Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt won the game kind of going away. They erupted for 12 runs, I believe, was the final. I'm kind of pulling it up now. But they played well. The story of the night, though, however, Tanner Burns. I haven't seen an update this morning because obviously it's 6:35 as I'm taping this right now. But Tanner Burns, the Auburn ace, pitching last night at Vanderbilt, and there was a steady rain in Nashville for a good bit of the game. They stopped it there at one point, but Vanderbilt's Phil's turf. It gets quite slick, and the umpires did not do a very good job last night of getting the players off the field, of making sure the surface was completely playable. And Tanner Burns, the Auburn ace, he throws a pitch in the game. He slips on the turf, kind of stumbles, and tells Butch Thompson, the Auburn head coach, immediately that he felt some discomfort. He did not feel well following that pitch. He ends up having to come out of the game potentially because of just a wet surface and because of the umpires not doing their job to protect the players from a rain delay standpoint. Butch Thompson goes out, and he starts by just asking a couple questions. You can see a real kind of calm conversation going on. Tim Corbin had kind of walked over just to listen, although he never said anything throughout the whole process of this. And all of a sudden, Butch erupts. It's a video on Twitter. You can find it of the game last night, and he then goes crazy. He gets tossed. He goes after the umpire again, and frankly, I don't blame him. That's kind of not in Butch's DNA. That's not something that he typically does, but he certainly did it last night, and it was justified. That was not a situation that Tanner Burns should have been pitching in right there. Hopefully he's healthy. Hopefully it wasn't a big deal, but it certainly did not did not look good last night for Burns. He did have to come out of the game, and Vanderbilt did win the game 12-6 last night was that final. So heading into to Friday night, Arkansas 12-6 in the league, LSU 11-7, A&M 11-7-1. They've got that tie against Missouri, if you remember. Ole Miss 11-8, Mississippi State 10-8, Auburn 10-9, and then Alabama 4-14, wrapping it up in the West. Georgia 13-5, leading the East. Vanderbilt 13-6, a half game back. Tennessee 9-9. And here's an interesting part about Tennessee: that RPI, it's up to 6. We always talk about RPI mattering in hosting. Does Tennessee, a team that has not been a postseason factor for a number of years, they're in a geographic area of the country, even though they're in the SEC, where sometimes they try to put a regional if it's possible. Would a 15-15 Tennessee team host? That's an interesting thing. I was talking to Richard Cross about that last night. They got some work to do to get there, but with that RPI potentially being in the top 6, top 7, something like that, it's at least something to watch. Missouri 7-10-1 in the SEC, and then the Florida Gators 7-11. They still have not really rebounded. Wrapping it up, 5-13 for the South Carolina Gamecocks and 4-14 for the Kentucky Wildcats. So that's your league. But last night, huge game for Ole Miss. I really did. I just thought it was one of the more critical games there in the 7th, 8th inning when they came back, that they just couldn't squander it. It felt like if you squandered it, with Caracci throwing that many pitches, Will Etheridge gives you just a yeoman's effort last night. He goes 8 innings, gives up 3 runs, and that was more because of some defensive issues, and frankly, he hit 3 batters, and that set the table for A&M a little bit, but he went well over 100 pitches. He pitched incredibly well. The fastball velocity stayed up the entire time. He tried to talk Mike Bianco into letting him stay in there for the 9th inning as well. Mike didn't do that, handed the ball to Caracci, as Etheridge probably was done at that point. But he felt good, and I thought that was a big deal. I thought that getting that outing out of Etheridge, given what was on the other side, given the fact that they've struggled against left-handers the way that they have at times, just a huge one for Ole Miss. Again, 11-8 in the SEC at this juncture. Again, 6:30 tonight for that one. So Ole Miss 5, A&M 4. They win the game in 11 innings last night. We're going to go to Macy Somoskey in a second. Again, the Ole Miss women's golfer, the freshman, as she played 62 match play holes over 3 rounds, went extra holes with all 3 opponents in the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the finals to give Ole Miss their first SEC championship in women's golf in school history. So we'll go to Macy right after this.
Guests join the Oxford Exxon Podcast on the Patterson and Earhart Hotline. Patterson and Earhart, attorneys at law, specialize in personal injury law and real estate law, but theirs is a general practice that can handle any of your legal needs. If you think you've got a legal issue coming up, think you've got a legal issue that may or may not need to be dealt with, get in touch with Patterson and Earhart. Take advantage of their relationship with the podcast. You're going to get one of them on the phone on the same day, guaranteed. They'll take you through what they think, and then you can go from there. And that initial consultation is free. So whether you've been injured in a car wreck or have other legal issues, give them a call, 662-526-1992, or check out their website, pelaws.com. This podcast is also sponsored by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust, based in Madison, Mississippi, represents clients in more than 20 states, has advisors in 3 states. What Pinnacle Trust does is it provides detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much more. At Pinnacle Trust, investing is treated like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective research and information, not emotions. So regardless of your level of wealth, Pinnacle Trust will sit down with you, listen to your goals, study your expenses, and put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan. Cookie cutter financial planners put you in a box, but at Pinnacle Trust, a box is built just for you. To learn more about Pinnacle Trust, go to pintrust.com. That's PINN trust.com. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fee. Podcast also brought to you by the Westin Jackson. Restore serenity to your soul by visiting Soul Spa. It's the ultimate luxury spa experience in downtown Jackson. Indulge in personalized massages, signature facials, soothing body treatments, and much more on their extensive spa list. Escape from the everyday and rejuvenate yourself in their luxury spa today. And then you can gather at Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro, sip on a creative craft cocktail, or enjoy their curated wine list. It's open for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Chef Caden's mission is to connect guests with the community through local partnerships. So gather at Estelle tonight. The podcast is also brought to you in part by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Whether you're thinking about that golf trip with the guys you'll never forget, or maybe the anniversary trip she'll never forget, whether you're thinking about playing at St. Andrews or sitting at a cafe in Paris, talk to John Edwards before you try to do it yourself. If you're thinking about going to Florida, the Caribbean, whatever the case may be, get in touch with John. He's part of a Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows John to supply his clients with added values and unique benefits that are simply not available to other travelers. John traveled the globe for 37 years before getting into the travel business, so he knows the extra attention needed to make a special trip one that creates a lifetime of unique memories. So if you're thinking about going with the boys to Pebble Beach or taking her to Napa for the vacation of her dreams, call John, give him some parameters and a budget, and let him give you some options. And know this, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. Call John at 901-494-3387. Or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. It's a podcast that's also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They have a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles, great lease deals as well. Go in, test drive one today. Tell Gene and Sandy that you heard about Grenada Nissan on the podcast. You'll get Rebel savings on top of the already great deals at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. And we're brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX Legacy Realty agent. He's been in Oxford more than 4 decades. No one knows the residential and condo market in Oxford better than Harry. Harry is also a big part of Savannah Square. It's a new 9-acre development, 7/10 of a mile from the Oxford downtown square, conveniently located east of North Lamar, just a short stroll from the Midtown Shopping Center. So you're close to restaurants, you're close to stores, close to the YMCA. It's incredibly convenient. Savannah Square will initially consist of 32 standalone detached structures ranging in size from about 1,100 square feet to 2,400 square feet. These homes have wonderful layouts, impeccable finishes, and you can inspect them at the model at 215 William Street. Give Harry a call, take a look at the model, get more information about this great new development while they are still available. You can view more at SavannahSquareOxford.com or call Harry Alexander with RE/MAX Legacy Realty at 662-801-5621.
Macy, really appreciate it. I guess to start this way, what's the last couple of days been like? I mean, you get back from the event. I know you had the Rebel Choice Awards, all those different things. How would you kind of characterize the last 48 hours or so?
They've been absolutely crazy, like nothing like we've ever experienced. When we got back from Birmingham, I think it was like 8:30. We had like a welcome party like out here. Like the men's team was here and the men's coaches and other head coaches like for basketball and volleyball were out here and some compliance staff, like just everyone who like helped support us and help get us there. So to have them, when we come back was just so cool. And then that Monday, like the next day, we all wore our SEC shirts around campus, and it was just, it was so much fun. Like we had people coming up and congratulating us, and it was a really cool feeling. And then when we had the Rebel Choice Awards, they like kind of slipped us in there, like they gave us a shout out and everything. So it's been really cool.
I guess on the ride back to Oxford, everything else. Are you exhausted? Are you still celebrating? What's the mindset as soon as you're done with this 62-hole marathon you were on?
I was actually pretty good coming back. I didn't even honestly the 62 holes I didn't really feel like tired or anything. And then yesterday, so 2 days after the match and everything, I kind of got hit with just a wall of exhaustion. So I think I was going on adrenaline there for a couple days, but. We're just kind of getting back in the swing of things, getting ready for regionals. We have the watch party tonight, so it's really exciting.
From when you got on campus, like last summer, fall, what were sort of the strides that you needed to make to put yourself in a position to obviously get in a starting lineup and then obviously succeed like you did?
Yeah, I had to make a lot of strides. I had to change a lot about me, from my attitude to just how I practiced and the things I was working on, like what I prioritized in practice. So coming here in the fall, I mean, I was nowhere near making the starting lineup, and then I went back home for winter break, kind of regrouped with my coach there, Mike Bender, worked with him over winter, and then came back. And honestly, just having a team like this around you, pushing you, I kind of resisted at first, honestly. And then I just kind of came back. I was fresh, from home. I was feeling pretty good about my swing and just kind of letting the team help me. I was really resistant to that at first, and then just coming back in the spring, wanting to go out there and practice, wanting to stay longer, just kind of finding almost a love for golf again. Two of my teammates really helped me with that. Ellen, the other freshman, and P, they were always out there encouraging me on a Sunday, hey, let's get up early and let's go practice, let's go play AT, let's go do a match play event, just getting me out there and just putting in the work, having them around me just helped me so much because they lead by example. And all that hard work paid off. When I made my first tournament was actually in the Dominican Republic over spring break. Actually, that's wrong. My first tournament was Shoal Creek in February. That was a one-day event. But my first tournament playing on the team, because in Shoal I was an individual. But my first tournament where I made the team lineup and was the Dominican Republic for spring break, and so and all the hard work just kind of paid off, accumulating to that, and that was it was such an amazing experience to go there and play, and then just kind of just kept that mentality, just get up, do what you're supposed to do, work hard, I put a lot more emphasis on my short game in the spring, which really helped, and then just having a more focused practice. Really making sure those 3-4 hours counted, not just being out there just hitting balls randomly for practice or anything like that. So really a change in mentality helped me, and then once I kind of started making the lineup, I stayed in the lineup because of probably all the hard work and everything, and it's been going up from there.
Did you have much match play experience heading into the week? Did you play a lot?
I played one match play tournament a year. It was on the Florida Junior Tour, so back in my home state. That's the only time I ever got to play match play, in my junior career. The tournament before we went to SECs, the Liz Murphy hosted by University of Georgia, was a match play event. But other than that, I hadn't had any other experiences with match play.
What was it like trying to go to sleep and then waiting to finish the Georgia match and just trying to kill that amount of time? Did you get sleep? Were you wired? What was sort of those 12 hours like?
I mean, we got in late from Georgia, and I had honestly just fell apart after that. My back nine was rough, and going into knowing that the next day, it was on me whether we were going to make it to the finals or not, and having a big lead and losing it. I mean, I'm kind of glad it got dark because I needed that time to just go to bed, reset, because at the time when I got off the course, I was like, oh my God, I lost it. I lost this for my team, and I needed that time to just go back to the hotel room. I got a text from Coach Zach, when we got in, he's like, hey, regroup, we got this. You've been in this position before, you can do this. And it took me that time to realize that, hey, I'm not 3 down, or something. I'm all square with this girl. Anything can happen. Mm-hmm. And so I really needed that time. But honestly, when we got back, we'd been at the course since 6 in the morning, and we left at 8 o'clock. I mean, it was just get back to the hotel room, kind of just crash, and then get up the next morning with a fresh mind and get out there.
I guess especially in the finals, but they're all match play. Are you aware of the score? Do you know what's going on in other matches? Do you keep up with that, or would you like to just focus on yourself? I never know what's going on with the other girls' matches. I prefer to just focus on mine. I think if I knew the other girls, I'd probably start stressing myself out. It's funny because I'll be
towards the end of my match, and I will literally turn to Coach Zach if he's there with me and be like, what's the score? And then I'm like, don't tell me that, like immediately after, because I really shouldn't know. Like, I know myself, and me just focusing on the task that I have at hand, like all that I can control, is important for me mentally.
Obviously, you had Connor Beth behind you, but at what point in the finals did you realize what was kind of going on there?
I knew that, I was one down going into 18, and I knew that Connor Beth was down, but she had gotten some back, but I didn't know what her score was. So when she was on 18, I was like,
still
okay.
playing, obviously.
Like, she's still playing, so like, maybe she can finish this, because I was one down going into 18 and everything. And then I made the putt, and I was like, okay, let's go to extra holes. Like, I honestly I didn't really think about it. Like, I didn't really have time to celebrate it, because I was like, I have to like go play more. And when I played 10, that first match, the first playoff hole, I didn't look behind me at all, because I didn't want to know if she was there or not, or what was happening. Yeah. By the time I got to the second playoff hole, 16, I saw her on the green, and I was like, okay, well, then this is on me again. So, yeah.
Take me through the putt. What were you trying to do? What'd you see?
I was trying to get it close to the hole. Okay. Lois K putted first. She got it down to, I think, 4 feet. Yeah. And, I mean, that's not a putt that I was trying to, like, make or anything. Coach Zach and I had a pretty good system, actually. I set my line up, and he tells me left, right, or good, and I go with it, just because he's so good at reading greens. And so, honestly, that putt, I want to give him just as much credit as it was to me, because he read that thing perfectly. And so I was just over the putt, and I was just trying to get it close, maybe force her to make a pressure 4-footer to finish the match. And when it went in, like I said, I was like, oh, that was really cool. Now I gotta go play more holes now. So to try and finish this off.
How much did it turn? The putt, was it fairly? I mean, it wasn't down the hill. Was it fairly straight or what?
Yeah, it wasn't like a massive breaking putt. It was. I'm really bad with this.
No,
I don't know cups and stuff like that. But it was a left to right putt. We knew it was gonna, it was coming down that hill, but I just saw her hit her putt and it stopped short, like, 4 feet short. And so I was like, okay, well, this isn't something that you gotta just, like, baby. You gotta, like, hit it with some speed. So, yeah.
Did you have to kind of re-steady yourself once you see the ball go in the water and know, hey, I'm up here, but we got to finish it? Obviously, she still had the ability to par there.
Yeah, I actually didn't know she went in the water. I didn't see her ball at all. So when she hit it, I didn't hear South Carolina's, like, cheer. And at that point, people are cheering for, like, everything. So I asked Coach, I was like, where did that ball go? And he said, it's in the water. I was like, are you serious? He's like, yes, but that doesn't change our game plan. Because, I mean, honestly, with her, playing with her all day, I think she birdied 3 of the par 5s with wedges in her hand. I mean, she has an incredible wedge game. And so I knew that, like, I probably needed a birdie to win that hole, just because she was when she got up there, she'd be hitting 4. And she was going to get it close. Like, I knew she was going to get it close. And so I just got up there and just wanted to hit my shot. I hit it pretty good. I think it was the safe play. I didn't want to flirt with the pin, honestly, especially given that the door just kind of opened a little bit and, forced. And when she hit her shot, and I was like, all right, well, she's got, like, I'm not sure how far her putt was, maybe 12 feet.
Yeah, it was 10, 12 feet. 12
feet or something. And so when I then went up for my birdie putt, it was the same mentality as I had on the last putt, just get it close, because force her to make her putt to extend the match. Don't get dumped trying to make a putt and then ending up, like, in a bad position. So
do you kind of remember those first moments after the celebration, or are you almost kind of blacking out at that point and just relieved almost?
They kind of come in flashes. I don't remember, like, what a lot of people said to me. I don't remember, like, or anything like that, but I do remember, coaches saying, like, like, don't ever doubt yourself again. Like, you just did that. And so it was a really big moment, and, I want to emphasize that this was, like, an entire team win. I mean, I know that, like, I know how it looks and everything, but, I mean, we wouldn't have got to match play if it wasn't for Ellen getting a top 20, for Julia getting tied for second, and we wouldn't have even, my matches wouldn't have even mattered if Kennedy and Julia hadn't gone 3-0 in match play. So I just want to make sure that, like, it was an entire team effort out there. I mean, this team's incredible. Like, these girls are fantastic, and so, and I say it a million times, like, we have the best coaches in college golf. They are so like, you know, they work with us so well. They're so positive. They keep us, like, you know, focused, but also, like, you know, able to relax out there. So it was really a whole team effort.
Obviously, regionals up next. Just what does this do confidence-wise, but also for you just kind of, you know, I guess going into the next big event and everything that you have kind of coming up?
I mean, you know, we're still on like a high now with running SECs and everything, but we definitely, I mean, we have a week and a half to prep for regionals, and I think all of us are just excited. Like, you know, like we're gonna put a ton of effort into practice, like we always do, just to get ready for this, because now that we did this, we know that there's kind of like, you know, people know us now, and so when we go to regionals, like there's gonna be people who are kind of like, you know, not gunning for us, but I mean, there's a little bit more name recognition when they see Ole Miss, and so yeah, we're just gonna go to regionals. I mean, we're gonna work hard, and I can't wait to see like where we're gonna go. That'll be exciting to find out tonight, and we're just gonna try and do the same thing that we did out there. Like, you know, like our coaches always say, fairways and greens, make your pars, play it smart, and if we do that, then hopefully it'll be good.
Good luck to you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Don't forget, on Sunday, you're invited to the Blue Delta Jeans 5-year anniversary party at the Lyric on the Square in Oxford on Sunday, April the 28th. This coming Sunday, you can join the great people of Blue Delta Jeans for music, complimentary Bloody Marys, Big Bad Breakfast Biscuits, and, of course, blue jeans from 10 to 2 at the Lyric on the Square. Blue Delta Jeans is going to launch their spring-summer line of denim in Holland and Cherry. You can check out different customer patterns that have been made for Grammy Award winners, World Series champs, Super Bowl winners, NASCAR drivers, Oscar Award winners, and more, including podcast host. It's 10 to 2. It's a private event, but you're invited. All you have to do is go to Blue Delta Jeans on Instagram or Twitter and send them an RSVP. Let them know you're coming through their direct messages, or you can send them an email, info@bluedeltajeans.com. Know this also, all jeans are $400, including the Holland and Cherry. So you're getting $100 off those. It's a great time to check those out if you've never tried them. Chase and I both have. We love them. They're versatile. They're light. They feel perfect for this time of the year. You'll love them too. Once you have a pair, as we tell you all the time, you'll immediately start thinking about pair number 2. That's at Blue Delta Jeans on the Square in Oxford on Sunday. Bloody Marys, biscuits, and blue jeans. What could be better than that? It's a podcast that's also brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with the personal touch. OUB offers its customers the absolute best cash checking account. It's called Kasasa, and with Kasasa, OUB will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000. And with Kasasa, ATM fees nationwide are refunded. OUB also offers online bill pay and mobile check deposit using its online app. To learn more about OUB, check out liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured. And we're brought to you by Scoopers Pet Waste Removal, LLC. Everyone loves their pets, but no one loves stepping in their pet's stuff, if you will, and tracking that stuff into your house is a nightmare. Scoopers will go into your backyard, apartment complex, or condominium and pick up what no one really wants to pick up. For $10 a cleaning, Scoopers will clean up your yard, and they'll do it on your schedule, whether that's weekly, bi-weekly, or a one-time service. No contracts are required. You can cancel at any time. If you have multiple dogs, it's just $2 for each additional dog. So if you own a home, a condo, or an apartment complex in Oxford, and you'd like to deal with a lot less crap, call Scoopers 662-506-2754, or simply send them an email at scoopers.oxfordpetwaste@gmail.com to get your cleanings scheduled today. Scoopers Pet Waste Removal, they're number one in your pet's number 2 business. And finally, don't forget tonight at the Ole Miss softball complex. Ole Miss entertains Tennessee. First game is at 6 o'clock. You can learn more at OleMissSports.com. And Ole Miss and Texas A&M continue their series out at Swayze. You can get tickets at OleMissTix.com and learn more at OleMissSports.com.
Podcast also brought to you by Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. You're getting local underwriting that understands your market. Pretty big deal there. Also a leader in condo financing in Oxford and the float down option, which allows you to lock in the current rate. But if rates go down before you close, you just get the lower rate. You can give Jason Lowe a shout over email at jlowe@communitymtg.com. Also, once you get that house, take advantage of it with MasterCuts. They provide premium lawn care throughout northern Mississippi. They also offer a lot more, though. They build custom playgrounds, retaining walls, pool decks, outdoor living spaces, paver patios, forestry mulching, and much more. The patch of your dream backyard, easier than you think. You visit them online at gomastercuts.com or get that same free quote by giving them a call at 662-607-7773. We also been telling you about scripted jewelry, and while the traditional, the longer range mail deadline was yesterday to get that order in, you still got time. You maybe forgot, you didn't get around to it. Go to Scripted Jewelry, pick out something for Mother's Day, and you can rush order it as late as May 2nd. But don't wait till May 2nd. Do it today. When you go to the website, you'll see new arrivals. You'll see recent work. You will also see a complete Mother's Day section to take care of that special day for the mom in your life. You can save money as well with Scripted Jewelry. Rebels 10, REBELS 10 with scriptedjewelry.com. And last but obviously not least, G&M Pharmacy there on South Lamar and Oxford. They deliver local to your home or workplace. Been telling you about the CBD oil. Go in, try it out. You can just go in, you can get it. They've got multiple different options the way you want to take it. No crazy side effects. Just makes you feel better. That is what has been proven with multiple studies: anxiety, depression, pain, or just need a little bit of a break. Helps tons of different things. CBD oil, again, no side effects, nothing crazy. So try it out for yourself there at G&M, and hey, move your medication over while you're at it. 662-236-2222 to find out more with G&M. They're on South Lamar in Oxford. All the other series that are starting out today: Kentucky at Florida there in Gainesville. Obviously, Florida needs that one to get back into any sort of postseason picture. LSU at Alabama. Everybody kind of beating up on the Crimson Tide now, so LSU is the one that has the pressure there, as they need to kind of continue that trend. Tennessee at Arkansas, an incredibly intriguing series in Fayetteville. The Volunteers took 2 out of 3 against Georgia. They pitched it well all weekend. Can they handle the suddenly red-hot Hogs there at Baum starting tonight? Georgia at Mississippi State. The Bulldogs catching a break. Emerson Hancock, the talented pitcher for Georgia, he's got some arm soreness. Scott Strickland going to sit him out this weekend, so State gets the break. They've got the other Bulldogs in Starkville and Emerson Hancock out this weekend. South Carolina and Missouri, 2 teams struggling, and then obviously Auburn and Vanderbilt continue their series in Nashville tonight as well. Mentioned the NFL draft. DK Metcalf not going last night. No Ole Miss players going last night. A big slide for Mississippi State edge rusher Montez Sweat. Didn't go nearly as highly as some had thought. Drew Lock doesn't go last night. It was a bit of a scattered night for the NFL draft. We'll get Jeffrey's thoughts on it soon. Obviously, the news from a reach standpoint: Duke quarterback Daniel Jones going 6th overall to the Giants. The Cutcliffe disciple, the quarterback at Duke that I think lost his last game 59-7 against Wake Forest. Strange pick there, just from the standpoint of the Giants could have gotten him at 17. Even if he ends up being all-world, when you can get him later and get a better player there, it's a bad draft pick. It's the same thing the Raiders did with the guy they took early in the draft there with their first pick as well. You could have gotten the guy later, so that makes it a bad pick no matter what it looks like. But Twitter angst has been high. Jeffrey handled it well. He was expecting a bad decision from the Giants. I think he still has plenty of post-traumatic stress from Jerry Reese, but Reese might not look bad compared to what Gettleman did last night, at least from a public opinion standpoint. But DK off the board today. You would think AJ obviously off the board today. Greg off the board today. We've talked about that all week. If you missed any of our earlier podcasts, Chris Landry, Chase Goodbread, Neil Stratton on the Beer Garden, a lot of draft talk. So we talked about all those Ole Miss players that are still on the board now. So if you need to get a rehash, that is the way to do it. Go back and listen to those and take care of it. And then some really, if he's right, some potential good news for Ole Miss coming down the pipeline. Jim Callis yesterday, he writes for MLB.com. He's a draft analyst. He's really, really tied into that. He was mentioning Jerrion Ealy yesterday. It made it to our message board. I kind of started looking for it a little bit, and Ealy has not played very well this spring. That's a good thing for Ole Miss. You're not freaking out about that at all. You didn't need him to blow up even more. We talked about how Kyler Murray has impacted things for that two-sport player that prior to Kyler, they were willing to give a lot of money, let a guy kind of play some college football potentially, let him play baseball in the pros. And, that was always more of a mid to late round thing, though. You didn't see much of the situation of the high pick getting that kind of opportunity because clubs aren't going to put millions of dollars in a guy that could get hurt on the football field, could do some other things, could have a lot of indecision there. And then you see Murray last year go so high and get a huge signing bonus from the A's, you think, hey, maybe that's trending in a certain direction. However, now that Murray has gone number 1 overall in the NFL draft, he has chosen football, really kind of hung the A's out to dry in some different ways. It wasn't a total catastrophe for the A's, but I do think it's changed the way the thinking works. I think it's affecting Ealy. I think it's going to affect the amount of money that he can get in this thing. And Callis yesterday called him one of the more likely guys to slide. He thought that he would end up at Ole Miss to at least play football. And I've really thought the whole time that it was probably an all or nothing. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'll eat these words. But just kind of my gut is that he's not going to be the multi-sport over different format guy. He's not going to be the guy that plays college football and pro baseball. I don't think a club is going to be willing to pay him enough money to slide him to play college football, play running back in the SEC, potentially get beat up a little bit, and then play pro baseball. You're just not paying somebody $4 million or $3 million or $2.5 million to do that, in my opinion. So that's going to drop it down. I think a team's either got to overpay like crazy, or not overpay, but yeah, kind of overpay, to get him to play both, or he potentially ends up playing outfield and running back for Ole Miss, which would be a huge coup for the Rebels. But, his skill set just doesn't translate as much as it would have 10 or 12 years ago. Speed, stolen bases, that's not a big of a deal. You're looking for high velocity from fastballs for pitchers. You're looking for hitters that can hit the ball out of the ballpark. So his profile does not necessarily fit what that game is doing in 2019, and that affects signing bonuses too. So it's early. We still don't know exactly the situation. The draft's still a ways away. It's over a month away, 6 weeks away, something like that. But good news still coming. Callis thinks Ealy ends up being a Rebel. And if you told me right now to pick one that could do the different level thing, the pro baseball, the college football thing, I think Plumlee has a little more of a shot just because of the way he's projected. I could see somebody very easily grab Plumlee there in the 5th or 6th round, pay him enough money to get him maybe to bypass college baseball but still play college football. But with Ealy, it's just my opinion. I think it's an all or nothing thing. I think he's doing one or the other as far as college or pro all out. I just do not see him doing one of each. So we'll see where it comes out. But Callis is very, very good. He's tied in. For him to go out, maybe not on a limb because it's not a big deal. He's just talking. But for him to go there, I think he does kind of know what he's talking about. You want Ealy, no offense to him, if you're an Ole Miss fan, to struggle this spring, and he's done that. So I certainly kind of find that interesting. I think that's a big deal moving forward for Ole Miss. They have a chance, and that's what's funny about it. We always talk about running back has been a struggle for Ole Miss. They've had a hard time finding workable depth. Well, at least for one season, if you can put Ealy and Scotty Phillips in the backfield at the same time, Isaiah Woolard has shown that he can be a competent, secondary back. Probably not going to be your bell cow, but if he can be that secondary back, that's a big deal. So that could be a strength for Ole Miss. Running back could be a strength. Rich Rodriguez calling the plays. That Ealy has a chance to make as much impact, not just on the game because of his ability, but on what he does to his position of any guy that I can remember in a long time, because he does really flip that from a weakness to a strength for Ole Miss should he do that. So we'll see. Plenty of time wrapping up for that one, but that was the other kind of bit of news. Shorter podcast today because I'm flying solo. All good, though. You're going to get one. We want to make sure we gave you a full week's worth after we came back from our little bit of Easter break there. Again, we'll get Jeffrey thoughts. We'll let him back on the Giants a little bit, and we'll see where all these Ole Miss Rebels go in the draft as it continues today on this Friday. And then Ole Miss and A&M tonight, 6:30 from Swayze Field. Obviously, we'll have full coverage of that. Ole Miss softball getting going this weekend. They're still not going to win it because Alabama's going to win it, but they're in the thick of the top part of the SEC race, still fighting for a regional, looking very good for that. They've got the Tennessee Volunteers in town for that one as well. So big weekend for softball. The Ole Miss men's golf team is wrapping up their SEC tournament in Sea Island. They were in great shape after day one. They were in third place. Fell a little bit yesterday, so that is kind of where things are standing there. But nonetheless, appreciate Macy Somoskey sitting down with me. Good interview there with her, and then Neil and I both will be back in the Clark studio on Monday. Have a great weekend.